Conor Villager, tell me all about it. Conor, 6 months down the line, the album is now out there and it belongs to other people. Those songs aren't yours anymore. How's the last 6 months been?
It's been amazing. We've just been touring pretty much non-stop and getting to make the songs better than they probably were when we recorded them, which is slightly frustrating, but also ultimately a beautiful experience.
Okay, when you say touring non-stop, the last time you toured non-stop with the first album, the Jackal album, by the end, you can be as honest as you like here, was it getting, to say the very least, fraught?
It was, to say the very least, fraught, I think.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah. Well, there was a little bit of that, actually. We were. That was because we were, we got signed after being a band for a year, and then we toured the same songs for another 2 years. So it was too long, and you're trying to be creative and you're trying to move on as an artiste, and when we finally got the chance to do that, we felt revitalized and healthy again. So.
Okay, but even when you say like touring those 12 songs and that, did it come to the point where you couldn't put the sincerity into the songs after a while? Like you might try and be angry with one song one night and compassionate the next night, and it was actually a struggle.
Well, it was a struggle because I had lined up my brain wrong when I started the touring. I thought that you could feel it in that way every night, and I think what I realized was that it's a show, and as long as you put all the effort and all the emotion into the writing, whatever you get out of the performance can be anything. Like sometimes the words can be just purely the sounds, it can be the rhythm that gets you going, it can be anything that just makes you emote in the song. And once I kind of let go of the idea that I wasn't maybe meaning it as much one night, then I freed myself up in terms of
okay, but is there a point where, like, I know you mentioned writers blocked me about 6 months ago at one stage, and one of the solutions to that is stop the writing and go to something else, i.e. go to the music and learn about what happens in the studio and how to work your way around instruments, and that would even help now with the live stuff compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, I went and made lots of very long, kind of groovy electronic instrumental things, and a lot of those rhythms and stuff made their way into the songs. So I sort of wrote the words afterwards this time.
Yeah.
So it was a different process.
But when you came back to write words, is it true that you kind of like the guy on the cover of the Awayland album, you actually did it from the perspective? Now I know that sounds like a very kind of a poetic way of trying to get over a problem, but did you actually say, okay, I'm going to be 6 years of age and try and look at the world and look at my writing in that way?
It wasn't a choice. I think afterwards I realized that I was writing from a very innocent perspective, and that was what was driving my writing. And it is a romantic thing. Like when you're writing and when you actually get onto something and you feel like this is the whole reason that you're living. And you're like, I do spend long hours, months doing nothing except trying to get the song to where I feel it could be, and I think that's all I really kind of live for, really, when I'm in that
Does that
zone.
word perfectionism, do you think sometimes you need to let things go quicker than you maybe did before?
Yeah, I'm starting to think. I mean, I'm writing new songs now, and they're a bit more. I don't want to say
loose.
They're completely different. They're nothing like we've really done before, but they're sort of funny.
But hold on a second, they're completely different. When The Waves came out, like the first single from the album came out, there were people who would write online and say, not in a kind of he's gone all electric in a Dylan kind of way, but there was an element of that going, what's he done? This is not the guy we knew.
Yeah.
And I would assume you'd say, result, great. Without being mean to the other people.
It was yeah, I mean, like, it's fun. I mean, I always loved bands that, as a music fan, like, I love bands that reinvent themselves every album.
Yeah.
And you know that they're ticking all the time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of bands don't, and they make a good living out of it.
High status quo. Go on, yeah.
Well, they live up to their name, but that's kind of... but, yeah, I mean, I couldn't really live with myself if we were doing the same thing over and over again.
And was it easier to live with the band when you got back into the studio? It was actually good to get into the studio and be in a different environment than, if you like, almost having to go to work every night. Another gig, another gig, another gig.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I get their opinion a lot more these days. I don't really lock myself. Like before, I did everything, and then I just brought it to the studio, and that was it. Whereas now I'm playing them the demos. They're talking about, like Cormac just got this new crazy vintage synth which we're planning on using, and I have no idea what it is. And he says it could work on this song, and because the words of that song would work for a particular, krautrocky vibe that he's got going on at home, whatever. So I think we're gonna slightly work together on the next album.
So therefore, you're saying that Villagers now really is more a band than Conor O'Brien and Friends. Not that it was necessarily that in the first instance.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm still writing all the most of the songs, and I'm gonna do all the demos and arrange them. But I think when it gets to the later stages, I think we're a bit more of a band. I have no desire to try and lock it down, really. I just want it to be changing, ever changing.
But it does change in what you do, because even recently, I mean, like, haven't you gone away by yourself to the States? Maybe 2 people to Australia?
Yes, money.
Yeah, okay, but maybe 2 people to Australia, maybe the whole band now. And is the difference, like, for instance, like when you played in the band before and it wasn't your band, was it nice to go out the road and just be somebody else and she was up there in front playing the songs kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was cool. I mean, yeah, sometimes I do wish I was a drummer or something, or a bass player, because
Yeah.
I don't.
The onus is not on you.
I feel like I'm quite at home when I'm composing and when I'm writing and arranging, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm a front man per se in the traditional sense of the word. So I'm still working with that. I'll probably be struggling with that till I die.
Till I die.
Yeah.
You've got an honours degree, in English from University College Dublin.
That I
Do
do.
you ever think that gets in the way sometimes? That you have to, that you have to live up to writing songs that will actually mean something to people all the time. Like, could you ever do a wap a baloo wap bam boom and go for it?
I want to. I really wish. Those are the most meaningful songs. There's nothing more universal than la 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 or noises, and I think I'm trying to. I think that's maybe where we're going with this next batch of songs, which I'm already talking about stupidly, but which I feel like that's where my head is at right now.
So then, do you ever look upon songwriting as some kind of a compromise in some way? Like, I mean, what you imagine is one thing, what you can achieve is the reality, and that's okay if you can achieve something, even if it wasn't what you necessarily imagined.
Yeah, I think, well, definitely. I think that's what creativity is. You have to draw the line at some stage, and the best songs are usually the ones that come out in a burst, most of the time, and the ones you can't really understand.
Yeah.
And afterwards you kind of figure out why you were going there and what was happening in them. But it's very boring for me to talk about, because I feel like I don't really understand it anyway. So.
Okay, but talking about the music is one thing, but if I was to sort of go in through each song and say, what does this mean, what does that mean? That's the bit where you draw the line, and where most people who write songs do. They don't want to know about that. Look, listen to the song, take whatever meaning you can out of it, and I know my meaning, and that's okay. My point there is that, like, 6 months ago, you did about 10,000 interviews. You had to for the second album. Was there any point at all where you said, this is a good thing, it's cathartic, to be talking, like a month of talking about the album, was there anything good to come out of that? Or was it like, yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
I really don't like interviews.
Yeah.
But you're a good guy. I feel like I'm talking to Superman or something.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, really, but the lesson always is just listen to the damn songs, would you?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's not really that
That's
you want. Yeah,
totally.
What about being like on the label Domino? Is it like Arctic Monkeys are there, Pavement are there, Franz Ferdinand are there? Do you get what you want out of this? Like, for instance, whatever hopes and plans you had for the second album, how has it gone in the last 6 months, just in terms of the way music is these days and the struggle people have and how difficult it is to, if you like, rise above so many others?
I don't know, in relation to Domino Records?
Well, just the fact that you have a record company behind you now that I presume are putting a lot into you, or certainly want to push you or help you. Like in the old days, there was, like, I'll give you a perfect example, and this could be a ramble, but here it goes. Radiohead brought out an album in 2007, In Rainbows, where they didn't charge people the money for that. Now, that's all very well, Mr. York, you can easily do that. You've had 14, 15 years of people underwriting your tours, sticking your albums in shop windows, putting loads of money into who you are, and just at a time when the whole thing was going elsewhere and falling apart, hey, we can be cool. Now, I'm not necessarily giving out to Radiohead, but I'm just saying it's easier for them than it is for a lot of other people.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have to do it in a certain way, like in that you came through from the immediate, if you think about it, into the new way of the whole. Like, in one way, you traversed both the old way and the new way. The new way is a bit more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the industry is constantly changing, and all this, speaking of Radiohead, they've just opened the debate on Spotify and streaming, and how perhaps it's something that's benefiting the fat cats at the top more than the bands, and I don't know. I mean, it's changing so fast. I find it really hard to have an opinion about it because there's new things turning up on the internet all the time, which are way more democratic than the known names and stuff. And it's, you know, I just spend my time writing songs and touring, and I have no idea how all that stuff works. So.
And writing songs, you say, for a third album at some stage will come out. But like, I mean, you have a bunch of songs. Do you play any new ones now tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna play. Well, most of the songs from Awayland, and we're gonna play a lot of Jackal. I think we're just gonna draw from those two albums. Yeah.
And when might a third album come out, or have you any idea?
Hopefully next year, but I'm not sure. I'm very weird when I'm writing. I always go backwards and forwards. Sometimes I think it'll be quick, and other times it's very slow. So.
That's writing, but what about recording? Are you saying that might be quicker?
Well, recording comes after writing.
Yeah,
so
but I mean, well, a lot of bands go into the studio and write in the studio.
That's a bad
idea.
idea.
They go from scratch. I think that's a weird idea, frankly. You know, I don't totally get
unless
it.
Unless it's groove-based, and unless you're Curtis Mayfield or whatever, that's about it.
Yeah, right, indeed. Okay. And this whole thing of old head on new shoulder stuff, is that stuff used to annoy you years ago when the first album came out? Is there less of that now in terms of, now this guy's just writing songs and playing them?
I don't know. I'm going kind of grey now, so I don't know if it'll be that much longer. I don't really mind, you know. I think it's not very helpful to worry about what people say about you when you're trying to make stuff and be interesting. I think people are going to be a bit shocked by the next group of songs that we're writing because they're a little bit more rhetorical and a bit more. There's a lot more satire in them, and they've actually got a bit of a message, which I think I ran away from for the other ones.
Bit of a message.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Conor, thanks a million for talking to us. Good luck with the gig later on. And you're going to play a song now. Earthly Pleasure, is that what you're going to do?
Earthly Pleasure.
Earthly Pleasure.
For the day that's in it.
Yeah, you better not stay too long in this sunshine, because that colour you were talking about going grey, going to be going red in about 10 seconds. So play the song. Come on, Conor. Thanks for talking to us. Take it easy.